I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. Congressman David Scott voiced his support for the Lower Food and Fuel Costs Act on the House floor Thursday. Scott said that this would be a way to combat the high prices facing Americans. The Georgia lawmaker blamed rising costs on both the pandemic and Russia's war on Ukraine. Republicans have been steadfast in faulting the Biden administration for the record high prices. Listen in for more as the Democratic congressman details the legislation.
I rise in strong support of H.R. 7606, the Lower Food and Fuel Costs Act, and I encourage my colleagues to support this package that is comprised of multiple bills that our House Agriculture Committee has advanced in a strong bipartisan manner. Mr. Speaker, as we all know, the last 2 years have led to drastic fluctuations in prices. And whether you look at the ongoing impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic or the global disruptions associated with Putin's war in Ukraine, American farmers, American ranchers, and consumers are facing right now terrible increasing costs on the farm, at the grocery store, and at the gas station. Our Lower Food and Fuel Costs Act tackles these price increases head on by increasing competition, options at the pump, and by providing needed support for America's agriculture sector at every stop of our food supply chain. Mr. Speaker, our package includes 4 main pillars. 1, ensuring robust competition in the meat and poultry sector. 2, lowering costs at the grocery store by lowering costs for our farmers and ranchers. 3, by empowering our farmers to help provide fuel choices and lower prices at our gas stations. And 4th, strengthening the food supply chain. Going further into each of these pillars, first, this package will establish an office of the Special Investigator for Competition Matters in the Agriculture Secretary's office. When we held a hearing, Mr. Speaker, it was a very powerful hearing. It was the largest viewing audience for a hearing in the history of our Agriculture Committee. And we heard overwhelming evidence that continuing the status quo when it comes to enforcement will not provide more desperately needed competition and fairness within our meat and poultry industries. So we believe earnestly that the USDA and their expertise in agriculture issues gives the USDA a strong footing to investigate the competitiveness in our meat and poultry sectors and to enforce existing laws to ensure a fair playing field for our family farmers and ranchers and consumers. Mr. Speaker, we were informed at that hearing that right now we are losing 17,000 ranching farms every year. This has to stop. Our bill also includes a bipartisan provision that will support the creation and expansion of processing capacity for small and medium-sized producers to help alleviate this terrible, threatening consolidation just to a handful of 4 meat packing companies. And this is the core of this legislation. Our second pillar addresses a key piece in the puzzle of rising prices at the grocery store. There have been record increases in input costs for agriculture producers, with fertilizer prices for both specialty and row crop producers skyrocketing. And this bill will help reduce their input costs so planning decisions are not impacted. And Mr. Speaker, speaking of fertilizer costs, it is very important for the nation to know that right now Russia controls 66% of the fertilizer in the world being produced there. This needs to have a serious attention. Our second pillar of increase of this legislative package is the puzzle of rising prices. Our third pillar addresses fuel costs, which is something that impacts everyone. Whether you're paying more at the gas pump or seeing increasing prices in the grocery store from higher trucking and transportation costs. This package addresses these concerns in a way that empowers our farmers and provides more choice and lower prices for our consumers at the gas pump and at the grocery store. And Mr. Speaker, our biofuels adoption and investment helps reduce our reliance on foreign oil and the supply shocks facing our gasoline supply, while also bolstering a revenue stream for our farmers and producers across the country, bolstering our use of ethanol from E10 to E15 will not impact the environment. Our Environmental Protection Agency confirms this, nor will it slow down the rollout of electric vehicles. And this vital package of bills makes much needed improvements in our supply chain. A series of shocks to our beef supply chain, combined with a concentrated processing infrastructure, resulted in high prices for meat at our grocery stores and lower prices for our producers, farmers, and ranchers. Specifically, one provision calls for the formation of an agricultural food system, supply chain, resilience, and crisis response task force to examine our food supply chain and report back to us here in Congress on the strengths and the weaknesses that exist. I'm extremely proud of the work of our House Agriculture members, both Democrats and Republicans, who have worked tirelessly to put this strong bipartisan bill together. We have garnered for this bill extremely important bipartisan participation. This is what our nation is hungry for. Democrats and Republicans working together to bring down these high costs for our food and our fuel. This bill is a bill that our American people want and deserve. I reserve the balance of my time.